I'm Dr. Scott Luper. I'm the medical director of the Alaska Center for Natural Medicine here in Fairbanks, Alaska. And today I want to talk to you about insomnia. Insomnia is when you can't sleep well, and it's a life wrecker. People never feel like fully themselves when they don't get a good night's sleep, and they still can participate in life to some extent. It just puts you in this weird kind of semi-zombie zone. It definitely is a serious problem, needs to be treated. Now, the thing about insomnia is it's got lots of causes, and what I want to do is kind of give you a brief overview of the common causes and really what's underneath it, what's causing it. Now, the insomnia, there's a number of different kinds, but the two most important kinds are it's hard to fall asleep, and the second one is it's hard to stay asleep. Now, the hard to fall asleep is just hard to fall asleep at night, and that one is typically caused by chemicals in our body that keep us awake, stress chemicals. Mostly it's catecholamines. And so when you look at the causes of this, what you want to look at is stuff that stimulates us and keeps our alertness state of mind going. Now, common things that'll cause this are things like caffeine, stimulants, theobromine, chocolate, stuff like that. More likely, though, it turns out to be the stress chemicals that are generated by us personally. So if you engage in stimulating activities at night, you worry, you watch scary TV, stuff like that, those are common sense. One what's often overlooked is bright light. Bright light stimulates us. It stimulates our brain to release chemicals. Again, these are called catecholamines. And the catecholamines keep us sharp and alert. And in the daytime, when it's bright out, that's a good idea to be sharp and alert. But at nighttime, not so much. Now, a lot of people have become more aware of this, particularly with all the screen time that people have, on their phones and devices of various things. And typically, devices now have a feature where they could take out the blue light and just leave it in shades of, the sunset shades. And that makes sense because sunset colors calm us down, and our body makes less of these stress chemicals. So really, in a word, what we're talking about here is good sleep hygiene. Hygiene is when things are nice and tidy and they're in the right place, right? And things are healthy. And that's really how you need to approach falling asleep, is make sure that you have good sleep hygiene. So about an hour before you go to sleep, you don't look at blue light. And you do calming things. You go and you put on pajamas and you fluff your pillow and you maybe drink a little something, or if you really are stressed out, take a warm bath. That'll calm you down. And things like this. Get set. Kind of, instead of just trying to jump into bed, going from 10 to 0 in 30 seconds, and some people can, those are the lucky few. Most of us take a little while to wind down. And do that wind down process. A lot of people will read, they get off their screens, and they'll read something relatively boring, and that'll help. And again, this is common sense. Most people know this already. The next problem is much less well understood, and that's the classic one where people wake up at about 3 a.m. and they wake up like it's time to get up, but it's not time to get up. And they look at the clock and they go, I've got hours of sleep. I've only had a few hours sleep, 4 or 5 hours sleep, and now I'm awake. And it's a common problem. Most people watching this video will have had this happen. Some people get it 3-4 times a week or even more. So let me explain what's going on with that one. What happens with that 3 a.m. wake up and you can't fall back asleep, and by the way, when I say can't fall back asleep, eventually you can fall back asleep. If you wait about an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours, you'll fall back asleep. But by that time, it's time to get up. So, and really there's not anything you can do to fall asleep faster when that happens. There just isn't. When you're in the middle of it, literally there's nothing you can do. So what's really causing it is wake-up chemicals that our body releases being inappropriately released too early. Now, this chemical we're talking about, this hormone, is cortisol. Our body uses cortisol to wake us up in the morning. Cortisol levels are highest in the morning, and eventually they drop down through the day, and they go to flat 0 at night when we fall asleep, which helps us fall asleep. Now, cortisol is also used to increase our blood sugars. So if our body needs more sugar in the blood, it releases cortisol. Cortisol brings the blood sugars up. Unfortunately, it also wakes us up. So if our blood sugars get low at night, our brain doesn't like that. It's busy. It's doing all kinds of things, dreaming and cleaning and thinking and all kinds of things. So it needs that sugar to function. Without the sugar, it doesn't function well. So what it does is it triggers this release of cortisol. The cortisol brings the blood sugars up and wakes us up. A lot of times we'll wake up hungry. People will actually get up in the middle of the night and go find something to eat. Now, when I first learned about this, I thought, oh, great, we have a solution to the problem of the 3 a.m. wake up. We'll have people have a snack before they go to bed. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. It turns out that what you need to do in order to solve this problem, in terms of the blood sugar problem, is to have a healthy breakfast 2 days ago. Seriously, 2 days ago, and then a healthy lunch and a healthy dinner, and then a healthy breakfast and lunch and dinner. It's a 2-day process to reset your blood sugars so that you don't get the 3 a.m. wake up. And this, actually, if you think about it, it makes sense, because if your blood sugars shoot up because you ate donuts for breakfast, and then they plummet because of the release of insulin, when your blood sugars go high, your body releases insulin, which drives your blood sugars back down. You know, at 11 o'clock, now you're hungry for something else, right? And jonesing for something sweet usually is what it is. And then you'll eat something, you know, a sandwich or, you know, whatever, something with carbs in it. And then your blood sugar shoots back up again. And then your body releases more insulin and it drives the sugars back down again. And your blood sugars are up and down and up and down and up and down the whole day. And then at nighttime, they're up and down because that's what they've been doing. They have a certain inertia. What goes up must come down. What goes down has to come up. Your body adjusts. So the variability is too much between the highs and the lows. So it takes a couple of days to settle this down so that the highs don't go so high and the lows don't go so low. And the way you settle it down is you avoid, you know, simple carbs. Brownies, I'm sorry, brownies are delicious, but they work against you on this thing. And honestly, anything with a lot of carbs in it, pizza too for that matter. So really the best kind of meal to have to really balance your blood sugars, and this relates to diabetes and a bunch of other stuff as well, and it's a classic healthy diet, right, is you need lots of vegetables, some protein, some fruit throughout the day too, and little carbohydrate. Keep the carbohydrate on the low. Those are starches. Those are bready things, rice, basic carb things. Potatoes is another one. So you keep those on the low side, keep the vegetables on the high side, relatively high fiber diet, and your blood sugars will even out. And by the way, you're going to feel a lot better for it. And you'll be able to sleep at night. No, you don't need Ambien. You don't need a drug to solve this problem. And it doesn't really work that well. Honestly, it just doesn't. I mean, you can take enough drugs and knock yourself out, you know, with the help of a doctor, but, you know, you're not really going to live a better life. You're not going to necessarily feel better. What happens with the medications is they'll drop you into sleep, but you don't get deep sleep. Sleep has stages. To get your most restful, healing sleep, you need to drop down to the lowest levels. That typically happens early in the evening. And medications won't get you there. I mean, you can drink enough alcohol and knock yourself out too, but you only get to level 2 for sleep. You need to get down to level 4. And if you don't, you feel groggy. You feel bad. So I could see a lot more about sleep. There's other problems. We haven't even talked about sleep apnea, but I think for now, that's enough. Those are the 2 most common problems for sleep: having a hard time falling asleep, having a hard time staying asleep. So I gave you some ideas of things to do for the falling asleep and some ideas to do to stay asleep. So keep your eyes and ears open. There'll be more of these videos coming, these health hacks, more coming. Again, this is Dr. Scott Luper. I'm the medical director of the Alaska Center for Natural Medicine here in Fairbanks, Alaska. Live well.